So I saw this video for this robot butler. There's a robot butler that you can buy and bring into your home if you've never watched a sci-fi film. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you just avoided all of them, if it's just not your genre, but you're like, ooh, a whole robot. Yeah, let's get him in here. Give him access to all the knives. No, you can. You can do it now. You can order one. It's thousands of dollars. It's very expensive. You could get a robot in your home, do a bunch of like small tasks, chores, things you don't feel like doing. And it's just, it's a whole, it's a whole robot with like legs, arms, hands. They did everything. I don't know if they did toes, but it walks, and it just, the thing that freaks me out about this thing is that in the development along the way, I'm not saying every single company that develops every robot does the same thing, but you've seen the videos. Some of these videos have gone viral because every time they get closer to building a robot that has like perfect balance or is either stronger or more adept at a task. Every time they do something like that, it goes viral. We see it. They cover it on like the morning news and stuff. And I just know that to get robots to this point where this robot is at now, that they don't just fall over, it took a long time. You used to see these robots where they, tip. That's not fast enough. You're not going to get your stuff in a timely manner. You need them taking whole steps, and they take whole steps, but they didn't have good foot placement, so then they tip into the middle, they'd fall. And so then we started making ones where the whole purpose is that they can't fall. And the way we tested if they could fall or not was we did kick them. We did almost exclusively kick them. And not little taps either. Not like a little hook. Here's a little trick for it. You would see people in the video walk up to the robot like, pow! And the only reason you didn't feel worse for the robot is it didn't have a face. This thing, it looked very sad, and there was one, look, maybe I'm in my head about this. I swear when I was watching, because you know that dog they made like a dog first that couldn't fall. And I was like, so you just go kick a dog. I know it's a robot dog, but like still, you kick this dog and the dog got better and better at not falling, better and better at catching itself and everything, to the point where it got to where it would not fall. It couldn't fall, right? But beyond not being able to fall, they still, they got to run tests, and the tests were as sophisticated as bow, right? But there was this one time this dude ran up, kicked the robot dog, and the robot dog stumbled. And it's a millisecond. It's so short that I had to watch this video 3,000 times to make sure I actually saw what I saw. But like, and then for a split second, you saw it think about going like, but it didn't do it. It didn't do it. And I was like, yeah, but you've been kicking it for a year and a half. You kicked its brother, you kicked its stepdad, like you kicked. And so now you take all that kicking history and you go ahead and put that into a robot in the home that can regular walk. I don't know how tall they are, but you get a robot in your home that's taller than you a fool. Okay? I'm gonna tell you right now, if you gotta look up at your robot, you out your mind. If you yelling at your robot, I know you out of your mind if you over here, hey! That's insane. Because we also not polite. We've been taught to not be polite to the robot. That's been baked in now. I don't even know if you could, it would feel weird for you to be polite if you were polite. You know millions and millions of people every day say, hey Alexa, and you know what they don't say? Please. You want to know how I know that? First Alexa experience I had, I didn't like it. Because it was in the house, but I didn't know where it was. So I was like, all right, so you just inviting the ghosts in then. You way too comfortable with ghosts. Because sooner or later, because you don't know if your house haunted. So now you over here talking to Alexa all the time. Then one day, Alexa voice a little raspy. You don't even clock it. Now you in a whole murder house with a bad history and you don't even... You think, oh, it's malfunctioning. And you got a whole poltergeist going on and you over here calling Amazon. And so then, I go over to my friend's house and my friend's like, oh, hey, we got this new thing. If you want to play some music, just say, hey, Alexa, play whatever. And I was like, hey, I just didn't want to do it. And he was like, no, go ahead, give it a try. I was like, all right. Hey, Alexa, play Kendrick, please. And he was like, why'd you say please like that? I was like, I don't know. It's weird. Like, this is weird. This doesn't feel weird to you? He's like, no, it's not weird. It's future. I was like, all right, the future's uncomfortable. You know what I mean? I just don't think that's good practice for our interactions person to person. That every day you make demands of something without any courtesy, without any politeness. And then we wonder why people are like rude. You know what I mean? It's like more and more you're like, you get to the point where you're dealing with so much, whatever it is, you're dealing with so much AI, you're dealing with so many robots, and you start treating people like AI, like robots, like people who just sort of serve a function. It's like I remember, I was ordering some food, and they do this thing now just to make sure that you got your food when you do I think everybody does. I think Uber Eats, Grubhub, I think everybody does it now, where when they want it at the door. When someone says, I want it handed to me at the door, they have to take a picture, right? So then they take the picture, and it's usually just of the receipt of the bag, right? But then, he's like, can I take a picture? I didn't know about this new policy. I didn't know. And I'm not I want y'all to know, I don't think I'm world famous or something, but he asked me if he wanted to can I take a picture? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. And so then I got next to him. And I felt so bad for him because he truly didn't know what to do because he was I guess he didn't want to correct me. I guess he didn't want to be like, no, please stand away from me. I'm just going to take a picture of you. Because it also does sound a little weird to be like, hey, I'm going to take a picture of you, be still. That is a little uncomfortable. But then I had already walked out the door and I'm side to side with him waiting for him to lift the phone. And then this sweet man, just to spare my feelings, turned it on selfie mode. It goes, can you lift the bag up for the picture? I felt yeah. But that is what's happening, is that we're getting to this place where most of our interactions are so transactional, down to the point of just what the service is, that it doesn't feel like we're having a relationship with a person, even a person who's doing you a service. So then, of course, maybe in people's minds, the next step would be for a robot to be there. Do you know what I mean? They're doing it with Uber already. Uber switching to these driverless cars, these Waymos, and it's to a certain degree, why wouldn't you? Because people get in their Uber and they don't want to talk to the driver. Maybe the driver doesn't want to talk to them either. And it's just, okay. It's almost a similar experience. You know? It's just the butler thing is so much more off-putting. Because it is, okay, it's too, I don't know, like why'd they have to give it a regular body? That's uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't even have like if it had looked like a Power Ranger, then maybe, because like, that's still a little too much like regular body, but just it having a regular body is just it is uncomfortable. And it comes in 3 colors. Comes in 3 colors. It comes in like tan, silver, and black. And like a deep black, like an onyx. It comes very black. That's not uncomfortable for anybody? That you can now buy a black? That feels awkward. Imagine you buy one of these Neo things, you buy one of these robots. And let's say it's doing all the tasks. Let's say it's really good. And then you invite one of your black friends over. And it's over here setting the table, not speaking. What are we doing? You could have picked silver. You could have had silver. Silver was an option the entire time. And you were like, no, but I would like black. I would actually enjoy it more. Didn't make white. Didn't even make like a fuchsia. And I'm sure you can trace the thinking down to like how people even like their phones. Like people, like that's like a thing with iPhone, like tan, silver, black, right? But this is different. This feels very different. This feel like when you see it, especially, especially you over here giving orders, not saying please, just. It's a bad look. And they do all this testing. You know what I mean? They do all this. I love product promotion for tech, because then the people who made the tech usually want to do the product promotion. That's like a big thing that comes from, fair enough, the world of tech, but mainly like Steve Jobs. Like Steve Jobs is who we look back and we see, wow, the iPhone revolutionized social. Like social wasn't even really a thing and couldn't really become a thing without the way we use our phone. Like there were just these moments when he held up like an iPod, when he held up an iPhone, that you look back at as like, wow, these are like pivotal moments. And because these people are trying to be like him, even if they're not trying to be exactly like him, they also want those pivotal moments for their career. They want to look back and be enough of a trendsetter and be enough of like a social beacon in tech, in communication, that you can look back at their clip and they held something up or they stood next to something and then it changed the world. Like, I understand why that's enticing, but at the same time, you're not great talking to people. That's almost across the board. We've seen, you remember when Zuckerberg was all in on the metaverse, when he was pouring billions of dollars. The metaverse was going to be the future. The metaverse was going to be how we worked, how we played. It was going to be how we visited people and communicated. There was a vision for the metaverse. He spent billions and billions of dollars pouring it into the metaverse, even though it wasn't profitable, even though people weren't integrating it into their lives fast enough for what they were projecting as like people who had people to answer to, you know, shareholders to answer to and stuff like that. Like, he still went all in, and then he did that product rollout. Showing, and look. He tried. Mark Zuckerberg, if you're not aware, does do an imitation of like a person you would talk to. Like, it's almost good. He does as good of an imitation of like a regular person as he can, and then he tried to do that for the rollout. So the day came. He was going to showcase the metaverse, the way of the future, right? And he comes out and he does his best imitation of like a guy. You saw it. You can go back and watch it. He's like, "Hey everyone." It's nice to be here today with you. I want to introduce you to the metaverse. And what better way than meeting the version of you that would be in the metaverse? Come on out, Mark. And then the metaverse like avatar of Mark Zuckerberg walks up and does a way better imitation of a guy. Because he's like, come on out, Mark. And then a Zuckerberg dressed exactly like him does walk up and go, "How's it going?" It's like, "Why don't you say hello to everyone?" And you saw Meta Mark be like, "What are you doing? You're making us look bad right now." Because these things are supposed to be the future, and you look at how we've been working our way up to this point. Because we're not talking about like a Roomba. You know, a Roomba. That felt like what future robots should be. Do you know what I mean? Just like doing the function. It's small. It gets into the little space. Every once in a while, it like runs into the wall hard enough that you gotta just redirect it. Do you know what I mean? Like you feel like, okay, if your Roomba ever really like tried to square up. Do you know what I mean? Like if your Roomba was ever really feeling froggy one day and got some attitude with you could be like, okay, all right. Problem solved. I don't know why you built this robot, this full-on robot butler with knuckles. Full of knuckles. Knuckles and like, okay. It's not like, I saw the back of the robot. And it's not, you remember action figures when you were a kid and how they were just sort of flat and the leg could just like perfectly go up and then down and then like perfectly up and then down. I don't know what the function is because once again, I'm not an engineer. I don't work in tech. I don't act like I'm smarter than any of these people. All right. All these people came together, made this robot. Look, you can make a robot. I can't make a robot. But turned around, this robot is like, it's not at a BBL level, but like this robot is like fully caked up. It has cheeks. It has cheeks that are like visible, but like, that's just the robot. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it has cheeks and it's like wearing clothes. Like, it's just the robot, which means y'all made the cheeks. Somebody made cheeks. That doesn't feel wild to anybody else that somebody made cheeks specifically. And then when they build a product like this, when you have a robot, when it's time to you building a robot, right? Everybody's got to have something to do. Because you want to do everything, right? You want to walk and you want to not fall over or bump into walls. Okay, get the kicking guy. Kicking guy is gonna make sure that your robot doesn't just fall over. He's gonna kick it 10,000 times, really make a friend. And then you're gonna need somebody on head duty to make sure it like is going forward, not drooping, whatever. You gotta get somebody on neck, make sure it turns around and stuff. It just makes me wonder if this robot make me wonder if there was just somebody that they didn't trust with the math. They didn't trust with the math, so that they were like, hey, we'll let you design whatever part you want. And he got all excited and he came in on Monday. And he's like, I got perfect right here. And I guess nobody wanted to hurt his feelings. Over there in the boardroom talking about, I guess it's padding technically if it ever does fall, like in a disaster. And so then they sent this prototype out with like a real butt. Rest of it does not look real at all, by the way. This is crazy. It's crazy because then they have the person, whenever they do a product rollout, they do like a Q&A, or they do a test in front of an audience, or if it's like a pre-tape thing, they'll have somebody there asking questions that obviously the public would ask. And and so this person's asking questions like, how strong is it? It's like, oh, it's very strong. It has all of this like power per square inch, however they measure it, right? And they gave it like, I don't know, was it a chestnut or a walnut or something like that? But they were like, can you go ahead and break this? Because, you know, once again, if you ever watch a sci-fi movie, that should be dust immediately. That should be, the robot should be able to be like, you know. And so they, you know, went ahead and gave the robot this nut to break. And the robot was like, and I didn't see it break it. I was like, all right, that actually puts me at a little bit of ease. Like, genuinely, it does. It's like, okay, you know, I thought for it to have fingers, it has palms, it has fingers, knuckles. It's nice to know that if the robot tried to punch you, it's going to be like, yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of nice to know this robot can only kill you if you already dying. Do you know what I mean? Like, it could squeeze a pillow just enough. Because to a certain degree, this is supposed to be the future, right? The future is supposed to be as convenient as possible. Absolute convenience, so you get your time back. And so your life won't be as hard. Here's the thing, though. Like, I'm going to stay on this thing probably for years, because products like this keep coming out. This is my thing. If if you've ever met somebody who's had a very easy life, very convenient life, that has never really been through anything, has never had like an obstacle in their way, they almost always, without a doubt, suck. Like really bad. Like these are the worst people in the world. Like when you meet them, you're like, that's terrible. That's terrible. And you find out because you're always there when the first thing that has ever happened to them happens to them. The first time anything has ever happened to them, it happens in front of you. And then you're like, all right, well, let's figure it out because you've been through things. This doesn't even register for you. This is like a 5 for them on the Richter scale of an earthquake, and their life is over. You know what I mean? They got a flat tire. And life is over. They're not in the city right now, and they have a flat tire. What should they do? I guess they have to die here. See, they'd never really been through anything. And anything that almost happened to them, they got to ask their parents to take care of it, and their parents took care of it. Or they just played dumb until somebody else did something about it. And now, in this moment, what a terrible career-ending day. You got a flat tire. What are you going to do? What's the plan here? And they panic. They want to call their parents to do something about it, but their parents are... Yeah, I mean, their parents are... Like, you know... They want to call their parents, but they can't because their parents are vacationing in Greece. And so it's like... They might not even have service on the boat. Like, it's just... What am I going to do? Never been through anything in their entire life. What am I going to do? They look to you. And they're like, this has never happened before. It's the worst thing that's ever happened. We're on our way to vacation and catch a flat tire. What are we going to do? And you're like, oh, do you have a spare? And you hear them say, is that what that is back there? I knew it came with the car, but I expected it to just turn on one day or something. It's just been back there not being a wheel this entire time. You know, and if they didn't have you there, I don't know what they would do. And so we want these lives of convenience. We want these lives where everything is out of our way, where nothing that we don't want to do takes up any time. But then what kind of person does that make you? I'm not saying it's fun to do all your chores or wait in line, but it is a human experience. This is your life, you know? Sometimes there are things that genuinely suck. I've been at the airport before for 36 hours. There was one time I was at the airport and I couldn't get out, and then here's the thing, if I decided to live there, I could have left. But I had been kept on such a Ferris wheel of mistakes, canceled flights, delayed flights, and just general annoying small tragedies that I just ended up staying in the airport. I almost slept at that airport twice, right? But at the same time, I had a lot of good experiences, even in that time, even when I was waiting. Turns out that airport did have pretty good food, so I ate very well for the few meals I could muster. Already a bathroom there. I can get adventurous. I'm just saying, sometimes people at airports will sell you like tiny spicy chicken or something like that, and you're like, all right, I'll just have it, not realize it. Like, it is spicy, and there is a bathroom on the plane, but like, traveling spicy hit different. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, if you traveling spicy, it's doing something to your life you're not ready for. There's nothing like being in a car and you traveling spicy. And now you looking at exits. Every exit, you're like, no, you know when you travel, it's spicy, you gotta breathe it out. No, travel with spicy is very dangerous. And I was able to do it. But that's the thing, is it, you know, when things are happening that are inconvenient or even terrible, and they're happening, they're part of your life. You can either just hate your life, or you could be like, this is my life for a little while. You know? Anyone who always wants, this is going to sound harsh, but just hear me out. Because I have friends who everything, every single inconvenience, they just want to be over already. And I'm like, okay, but if you tried to speed run every single thing that ever happened that was not convenient, do you know how little life you would have? Your life would be over so quickly. Your life would be over if you were like, oh, I just want to get out of this conversation. I just want to get out of this. I just want to get out of this line. I just want to get out of this airport. I just want to see. And you're missing your entire life. You know? Oh, I just want to get out of this conversation. What if they about to say something dope? You know what I mean? What if they're about to say something very cool? What if they're about to say, wow, you're such a good listener. Almost nobody listens to my stories. You want to chill at my vacation house? What if that was just about to happen? And now you can cut the thing short just because they were going on and on about whales. This is your life, you know? All of it is precious, even the inconvenient parts. Because that's the thing. That's all they can really sell you. They can sell you a little less inconvenience. They can't sell you ending your pain. They cannot sell you ending your loneliness. All of the things that matter, all the real things that are real struggles that people go through that actually end up making them very interesting people that you would want to get to know and spend time with. None of these tech people can cure that anyway. So then they're trying to sell you the little bit of convenience that maybe will make you feel like, oh, if I got all this time back, what does time back even mean? What does time back really mean? If you were at your home washing dishes, maybe, look, nobody likes washing dishes. I don't know if anybody likes washing dishes. It's old food. It's kind of nasty. You're like, what did I even have? What did I eat that sticks to the bowl like this? Because whatever that is in me. Is it sticking to me the way it's sticking to the bowl? That's crazy. I don't know if I'll ever get rid of this. If I can't get rid of the stain, then, ooh, my insides are stained right now. Sure. But I think it is such an important practice to appreciate all of these moments in your life. So often, we're trying to be distracted from the thing that if we focused on, we might enjoy. Because I'm not saying all of a sudden you'll love washing the dishes, but I think while you're washing the dishes and while you're sitting there thinking, maybe thinking about your day, maybe thinking about nothing, maybe thinking about the dishes, you could come potentially to an appreciation of the fact that you have a home. You have a home where you can cook your meals. You have dishes. You have dishes that you can use to serve your family, food that you worked for, that maybe something good can come of it, you know? Because this robot, I don't know. It's so expensive. It's so crazy expensive. Like it's so much money. Why don't you just hire a person? You could hire a person. If you have robot money and you've never seen any sci-fi, still hire a person. You could watch movies with your butler. You could make that one of the jobs. I need you to do windows, floors, and hang out. Like I do need a friend. I've been very lonely. It's incredibly important to not take for granted all those things that even though they're inconvenient, they're a part of your life, you know? I've made friends doing things I didn't want to do. Like there were moments where I was like, oh, this thing is taking up my time. Or maybe I'm delayed. Sometimes you get delayed, whether it's the train, it's the airport, you're waiting on a bus, you get delayed. And you don't want to be delayed. You want to get where you're going. That's why you want to go there. I understand. But everyone's delayed. It's the same problem everyone has. And everyone having the same problem is one of the fastest ways to build community, Because now everybody's upset that you're delayed. And there's always that one person that isn't traveling with anyone. So they kick it off for everybody. Oh. I'm sure they seem upset. They seem upset. But I think they're having this outburst because they don't have anybody to turn to be like, can you believe? So then they turn to you. Can you believe? They turned to me and they were like, can you believe? And I was like, no, I do believe. I don't think they would do it as a prank. I do believe them when they say it's not here yet, because I also looked out the window and it's not here yet. And I don't think they hide in it. You know what I mean? It'd be a very bad prank to be like, we gonna tell them the flight not coming. You know how people love that, right? That's one of my favorite things. I can't believe they didn't do that on Punk'd. I can't believe that Ashton Kutcher didn't delay a whole flight just so that people could be like, oh. And then, no, it's fine. It's fine. It'll be okay. It'll be all right. And she was like, yeah, maybe if it gets here, it'll be all right. But it'll be all right. I was like, well, what is it? What's wrong? What's wrong? She's like, I have somewhere to be. I'm supposed to meet my grandbaby. I'm supposed to meet my grandbaby. All right. And immediately I had more empathy for where she was coming from, because she wasn't just upset the flight was delayed because she likes being a problem. She is a grandbaby to me. I've never had a grandbaby to meet, but I imagine if I did, I would be in a hurry. I have a grandbaby to me. I was like, oh, really? You have a grandbaby? How old? And she's like, she was born 3 days ago. I was like, wow. 3 days ago, okay. It does sound like you got plenty of time to get over there, because 3 is, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, she knew, that. You know what I mean? She got a whole life ahead of her, and I think it'll be fine, I was like, do you have any pictures? And she was like, oh, do I have pictures? And then she showed me pictures of her brand new grandbaby, and it was incredibly sweet. We just sat there at the gate. I didn't even mention to her that I had been at this airport for 32 hours. And she was showing me pictures of her grandbaby. It was incredible. I just think that a lot of things could be missed out on, with this robot, because even the duties, even the stuff that it's supposed to do, that's stuff that would be great to do with your people. You want this thing to cook for you or whatever? Why don't you invite your friends over? You have a meal together. That's a memory. Now you're not laying in front of the TV waiting for this robot to finish. A robot, by the way, that if it came down to some nuts in the dish, because even in the product rollout, they had this, I guess they had this journalist ask the questions we would ask. And so one of the questions was, well, how do I know, you say this robot can lift whatever, 150 pounds over its head. How do I know that is not gonna kill me in my sleep. If you're worried that your black robot is gonna kill you in your sleep, do you know? I'll tell you right now. I'm not a scientist. I'm not into tech like that. I'm not an engineer. I don't. The number one way to not have your black robot kill you in your sleep is to not have a black robot in your house at all. I know I'm late to the conversation, but I found out about it late. I don't know how I missed it, but everybody's been arguing over if they'd rather be left in the woods with a man or a bear. It's a thing that started on TikTok, but then everybody's been putting their 2 cents in all across the internet on different platforms. And it's been interesting because I think it originally got posed to women. Would you rather be alone in the woods with a random bear or a random man, right? And I think people were astonished at how many women picked bear because it was a lot. I've actually seen very few videos that weren't bear. Which is shocking. It's like, I don't know, it took me aback. And a lot of dudes on the internet got very upset. They got so angry that they were like, why would you pick a bear? Why wouldn't you be, what, are you out of your mind? Are you stupid? Why wouldn't you want to be left alone with a random man, you stupid bitch? I don't understand what I'm doing right now. You know? And I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I don't know how in my feelings I was about it, but I was shocked. I was just like, oh, wow, geez. And then you actually hear people talk about it. You actually hear, women say like, well, the worst thing that, a bear is gonna do is either attack you or leave you alone, right? A man could do so many worse things to you, And then there was one woman, and I think her sentiment was like echoed around all of social. It's just like, she basically said, at least if I got attacked by a bear, people would believe me. Which I was like, ooh. When I heard it, I was like, ooh. Oof. Where do you go from there? What do you do next? What do you say to that sort of thing, Because it is true. It's a terrifying truth. It's a very sad truth. If somebody got attacked by a bear and ran up to you, you wouldn't be like, nah. Nah, you good. Like, just, it made me question as guys, because the women were saying men could do all different types of things, right? Bear could just attack or not attack, right? And it made me wonder, like, as guys, what are we doing that women would rather pick a bear? They'd rather risk their entire life than to be left alone with us and like hear about a podcast. It's rough stuff. I don't know if y'all saw this this Chiefs kicker. This is when it pays to be a sports fan, because I don't even need to explain all of it. But basically, in case you didn't see it, there was a kicker for the Chiefs who gave a commencement speech at a school that, I don't know, maybe he went there. Maybe that's why they wanted him. Seems like kicker is like pretty low on the list of who I want to bring to my school to sit, because this is like the last speech your kids are going to get at education before you send them out into the world, And he gets up there, and at first it didn't seem to be like that weird of a speech. I saw people were messaging me about it, and I was like, what did he say? As I was watching it at first, I was like, what did he say? He's like, oh, just be a strong man, take care of the people around you, have good values, all stuff like that. And then I kept watching. Because at first I was like, man, what's everybody been out of shape about? And then I kept watching, and then he was like, and to all the ladies here, I'm paraphrasing. To all the ladies here with your little degrees, go ahead and have a baby or your life is meaningless. Like he didn't really say that, but it's how people felt. And it's pretty crazy because I looked him up afterwards because I was just like, the weird thing about him is that because he's the kicker, he really feels this way. He has the least CTE on the team. These are his true and present values. But then I looked him up, and apparently his mom is a physicist. Which, I don't know. I mean, I guess to a certain degree he's working something out there. Like, if your mom's a physicist, I can't imagine how many times in your life you've been corrected. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's like, I just want a woman who won't talk to me and be right. Yeah, because his mom is a physicist, and he's a kicker. Which means every time he misses, his mom... his mom can tell him exactly how off he was. I want to tell you a journey that I've had. I have become invested, captivated by 1-star reviews. Because this is my thing. Look, if you got 1 star as a company, you should be closed. But I guess legally not enough has happened where somebody had to come close you. So the public is taking it upon themselves to warn each other, hey, this place, no. Because when you see a 1-star review, this thing, 5-star review is like, wow, I had a great experience. I want to support this business. I actually also want to make sure other people have as good of a time as I had. So I'm going to spread the word with a 5-star review. 4 stars is like, okay, I had a good time, but there are a couple things they can improve. Let me let the business know. 3 is unnecessary. Like 3 to me is insane because 3 is you taking the time to go, meh, and it's like... That feels like psychotic behavior to me. I've never left a 3, all right? I've never left a 3. I go full 5 or 1. I either try to spread the gospel or warn my friends. 2 is like something happened. 2 is like, look, I would do a 1, but someone there was so sweet that I want to acknowledge how great they were. Because you'll notice a lot of 2-star reviews have something positive in them to a point where I'm like, why isn't this a 4-star review? And then you get to the end and it's like, but there was blood everywhere. And you're like, oh, okay. All right, I got you. So hospitality check, wonderful environment check, but lots of blood in the bathroom. I see why you have a 2 now. I see you were trying to give props, you're trying to be fair. I personally have never read a 1-star review that I didn't wish was longer.
One time I was just chilling with Logan and I was reading him 1-star reviews that were making me laugh. And I can't remember what the business was now. I'm blanking on the business, but I think it was like a seafood place. It was like a crab shack. And then there was a 1-star review that just said, "This place is a chair." No. Legally, you should have to keep typing. Don't just leave that. I don't know what that means. Like, you can also tell, because some businesses, this is a different, look, I'm digressing, but this is a different point. But you can tell when a business, especially a restaurant, is nasty, not just when it has low reviews, but when it acts like a dude on a dating app. You know what I mean? Like they'll be taking pictures of the food, but the pictures of the food too close. Like, it's not a picture of the food on the plate, it's just a picture of 3 pieces of rice with some peas in the corner, and you're like, that's too close to the food. That means the plate is dirty. A 1-star review is a testament to an experience, you know? I live in New York, so there are a lot of 1-star reviews of a lot of businesses that will never close because they're either fronts or they own the building, so they don't have to worry about rent. But there was my favorite is when a place is permanently closed, but you can still read all the information. Like, they haven't shut down the website and the Google reviews are still there. And there was a funeral home. There was a funeral home that had a 1-star review, and I was like, this is my afternoon. Thank you, Google, for picking up the slack. Like I said, every 1-star review leaves you wanting more. There was a 1-star review that just said, "They lost my daddy." We don't know where or how long, or "They lost my daddy" in all caps. One-star review as a whole is incredible because it means that everyone's experience has been similar, right? Like, you'll see places with like a 3.0 and you'll see it really breaks down to like half ones, half fives, right? It just depends on the day, what kind of service that they get. 1-star review means everyone agrees, right? And the thing about a business having a 1-star review that blows my mind is I used to live in Chicago. And when I lived in Chicago, I didn't know you could just start a Yelp or a Google review for a place you didn't own. So someone had started like a Google review for Cook County Jail. Cook County Jail as a whole had 2 stars. And it's honestly hard to, like, I've read most of them, right? And one of them was 1 star, right? 1 star. And it just said, "The guards are so mean." And then under it, because you know, if you're the business, you can comment under it. So then under it, they were like, "You were in jail." But I'm not gonna lie, I'm on the formerly incarcerated person's side because they didn't refute it. They were just like, "This is what we do here." Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. There was a 4-star review for Cook County Jail. It's like, "I stayed here, wasn't the worst, wasn't the best, but I did it. And that's a very objective person. That's somebody who's like, well, I did my crime, and this is as jails go, it's pretty good. Like I mean, I don't want to see the business go under. Let me go ahead. Oh, it's incredible. I remember when I started looking at salons, because I go to salons and I used to go to barbershops, and trying to make that transition, I was just looking up Google reviews for places, and I got taken on a beautiful journey, because all these places, especially like anybody knows who is like trying out a place for the first time, like when you go to get your hair done, you really putting your life in somebody else's hands. And that's all of us, whether you're going to a barbershop, salon, whatever. Because I've got bad haircuts before. I've got haircuts that left me looking like... They just left me looking like I don't know how to take care of myself, and now I gotta wait till my hair grow back a little bit to look even again, I went to the website of this salon, and I saw all the like beautiful designs of the braids that they do, the variety that they do and everything. So then I went to the bottom of the website, and it says, we're currently not taking clients, right? Which happens sometimes. But I went to their Google just to check if maybe they don't update the website, because I was like, let me call, because maybe something's changed, right? When I get to their Google profile, I just go ahead and I'm like, let me look at the reviews just to check, because all this stuff is beautiful in the picture, but these could be Google images. So I'm reading lots of 5 stars, lots of 4 stars. Overall, they have a 4.7 as a business. So I'm like, they're crushing it, right? I do see a 1-star review, and I'm like, well, let me. Because you don't want to count out a 1-star reviews experience, because that means that whatever happened, as long as they're not lying, whatever happened, and it could happen to you, right? So I'm reading it, and it's like, staff was so rude, I booked an appointment, they were trying to act like they didn't know who I was, and they sent me out, right? And I was like, wow, that seems weird. Because the business can comment underneath their comment. The business said, Chandra, you need help. Chandra, you need help. You tried to fool us and showed up as if you had an appointment, even though it says on our website we are not currently taking clients. You said that you talked to someone that we don't employ about an appointment, and then sat in the chair demanding. I was like, fair enough, wow. That's amazing. I guess you can't trust every 1-star review, but wow. I tried to go, and they were not taking clients. Like I had a very similar experience to Chandra. I was like, it's like, I don't know, what if I tried? I don't know, maybe I could be slick. And they were like, sir. When I was growing up, I had a friend who was like a latchkey kid, and he would get off the bus, and he had 2 hours to himself before his parents came home. So he'd get off the bus, he'd open the door in the house, he had full reign of the house. And we're still little, but he's like old enough to, go ahead and make himself a grilled cheese if he wants something, anything, just till his parents get home. And one day he comes home, and his parents had to get together the night before, and he sees laid out just a little bit left of some wine. And he's like, oh, wow, I know that this is grown-up juice, but I want to try it, because I'm not supposed to have it, because I know I'm not supposed to have it, right? And so picks it up, and he's weighing the options in his head. He's like, I could try it, but what if I get caught? I'd be in so much trouble. Oh, but I really want it. Maybe nobody will know. And he's going over and over it in his head to the point where he He decides, I'm gonna just have a little sip. And he's bringing it to his lips, and then he ends up slipping it out of his hand, drops it, stains the carpet, right? So now he's freaking out because it's like, oh no, they'll know there wasn't a stain there when they left. This is all on me. And he did what a lot of kids would do in that scenario. He made it worse. He was like, the only thing, and I can understand he's a kid, but this is a mistake that I don't think I would have made. The best thing for him to do in that moment, he thought, was to make a bigger mess. And then that way, the stain won't be so bad. So he grabbed a rock and he threw it through the window. Which was a huge mistake because he went outside to get the rock and then threw it from inside outside. He realized what he had done as soon as he did it, so then he had to go back outside, grab the rock, carefully pick up all the glass, bring it back inside, lay out the glass next to the rock, next to the stain. You know? And then his parents get home, and when they come home, immediately they're like, oh my gosh, what happened? What happened? And, you know, he's had an hour 20 to think up a story, you know? So he's over here like, yeah, oh, yeah, it was crazy. They're like, what happened? You know, you got the rock going through the windows, all this glass on the floor and the stain. He's like, well, the stain's probably not as big of a deal as the broken window when you really think about it, right? And they're like, what happened? And he says, well, you know, the rock came through the window and it must have hit the glass that had the wine in it, the wine that really shouldn't have been left out. You know, that's an adult beverage. I'm a minor. And then it must have hit the perfect angle to hit that glass and this glass and then knock over and then make a stain on our beautiful 3-bedroom carpet. Yeah. And his parents were like, but did you see it happen? Like, how did this happen? Did somebody throw this? And he's like, uh-oh, because he didn't think that far. And so he was like, yeah, the man threw it. And they were like, what man? And now he's in deep because he's like, yeah, what man? What am I doing? And so he's like, yeah, there was a man that, you know, threw the rock through the window and everything. And you saw him? Yeah, I saw him. He threw it and you know, he ran and everything. And he thought maybe that would be the end of it. But from his parents' perspective, there was someone who threw a rock into the window, maybe to get inside while their son was home. So they had more and more questions and he didn't know what to do. He was freaking out, you know? Next thing he knows, the police have been called and the police come over and they're like, what did the man look like? And they over here taking notes and stuff. And he's like, he doesn't know what to say next because he didn't think this far. And that's how I feel like Trump must feel about Epstein, because it goes so deep. It's like he didn't think this far in the lies. Like he just didn't account for it. He thought he could make it quiet, you know? It's not going to be pitched as a direct and absolutely direct order from Trump, what the DOJ did. But the DOJ came out after interviews saying, oh, there's so much information. We're just trying to figure out how to put it out there in a way that's clear. Oh, there's so many files. There's a list of names. There's logs. There's a client list. After saying all this stuff in the media, the DOJ comes out and says, actually, the investigation is closed. We're not going to be prosecuting anybody else. And I think we got to the bottom of it. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's not going to stand at all. That's not going to stand with anybody, because you got to remember who Trump garnered with this belief that he released the Epstein files. He's got MAGA, sure, but he also has Q. Nobody talks about Q anymore, but they're still around. And they believe deeply that Donald Trump is going to be the one to unleash all of the truth. All the evidence will come out. When Trump is president, he'll turn over everything on the powerful cabal that has been victimizing people across the world. And then he's like, hey, yeah, there's no... And I think he thought that he could really bury it, that he could truly bury it. But he's wrong. He's wrong because there are a lot of things that he didn't account for. There are people that Trump controls. There are people who he orders around, and there are people who blindly follow him, sure. But he didn't count on things like Jeffrey Epstein talking before he died to a biographer for like 100 hours, like just a ridiculous amount of time. I have friends I don't think I've spoken to for 100 hours. 100 hours, you probably say a lot of nothing, and you probably say some pretty interesting stuff. Those 100 hours of conversation is how we know that Trump and Epstein were tight for years. Well, even Epstein said he knows some of the inner workings of the White House because him and Trump would just chop it up. You know what I mean? That's heavy. That's a lot to try to sidestep. And Trump's been making mistakes this whole time. Even when Epstein died, right? Epstein dies. He was in jail and he passed. Who can say how? And, Ghislaine Maxwell gets, charged, has a whole trial, gets convicted, sentenced to 20 years in prison. And apparently what we're hearing now is that at the time, Trump floated pardoning her. And the people that heard that almost couldn't believe it. Why would he pardon her? That's crazy. And it's like, actually, it's not that crazy when you see the picture of all of them hanging out, like, in the 90s, and they met in the 80s, and they used to fly around together. Like, that's his buddy. And he even said himself, these are his words out of his mouth, when asked about Ghislaine Maxwell during the trial, he said, I wish her well. Somebody that's on trial for trafficking. Somebody with ties to you. I wish her well. And then people were like, why would you wish her well? And then they brought it up again, and Trump was like, I wish lots of people well. And we were like, no, you don't. I've been watching you the whole time. I don't think you wish anybody well that I've seen. All you come up with is nicknames. Man floated pardoning her. That's crazy. And then the DOJ comes out, hey, yeah, this is done. Nothing else to see here. And people were having a hard time wrapping their heads around that. People who usually stump for Trump hard. No matter what he says, they manage to twist it in a way that maybe could make sense to you, and they'll say that that's what he means. One of the reasons that Trump can do everything that he does and it comes off a different way to everybody is because so many people think that they're the Trump whisperer. Trump will say something out of nowhere, and then there'll be people like, well, what he actually meant was something more reasonable that I'm going to say right now. And I'll be like, that's interesting, because he didn't say any of those words in that order when he was speaking. And I think he had a teleprompter, so I don't see how that's possible. And so everybody thinks that they can be the Trump whisperer, and it's just not working this time. You see people trying to come up with why Trump, why the FBI, why the Attorney General would all of a sudden, what feels like out of nowhere, try to shut this whole thing down, right? Alex Jones, of all people, saw what the DOJ did, and he made a video crying. I think it's very important. When, when a man shows emotion, not to just ridicule him for it because it's easy. But Alex Jones cries weird. Alex Jones cry weirder than anybody I've ever seen in my life. I don't wish anything good for Alex Jones, but to see him cry felt like something happened to me too. Like Alex Jones is up here like, folks. Like his eyelids were doing sit-ups, crying. I'm sick to my stomach, and I just can't believe this thing is happening. Wipe your face, dog. Like, and even Alex Jones trying to come up with something. He's like maybe the deep state got to him, and the deep state is like in his body, and that's why he's doing this stuff right now. And then he'll be back to normal after he has one of my protein shakes. You can go to my website and buy frog protein for $19.99. No, it was crazy. Because Alex Jones, you gotta remember, this dude is a proper conspiracy theorist. Old school. There's something deeper behind everything. Everything at all times. And I'm not talking about like chemtrails. I'm not talking about like government operations. There's something deeper behind everything that happens all the time. Hillary Clinton went on The Tonight Show. Pretty sure this was on The Tonight Show. And she was trying to open a jar of pickles, right? I don't remember what the bit was, but that's what was happening. And Alex Jones pulled it up, and right after she opened the jar, he was like, you see? Do you see what happened right there? Hillary Clinton didn't open that jar. Now, in the video, she has opened the jar. Hillary Clinton didn't open that jar. That jar was pre-opened. All right? You can tell because there was no pop. There's supposed to be a pop. There's supposed to be a... There's supposed to be a... There was no... I brought the same jar. I'm going to open for him right now. And this man spends a while trying to open the jar. He spends an uncomfortable amount of time trying to open the jar. I think at one point he even had a rag too. You know, like those kitchen tricks you use? He over here, you know, sometimes you like tap the top of it, you like... And he's like, I can't even open it right now, folks. That's how you know this thing right here, she didn't open that jar. So imagine Alex Jones on Epstein. No. I just think about the way that MAGA has been reacting. Because it is a full-on revolt. Truly. It's a thing that they cannot fathom is happening. Whether it's Q, whether it's MAGA, or whether it's just people who have been following the Epstein case from the beginning. Because you got to remember what Epstein stands for. He is the ultimate boogeyman. He is the ultimate beacon for people that believe that all the elites are in on something together. And it's easy to make him that because he had an island, billionaires were flying around, people went to him for tax advice and for law advice. He was this financier, even though I don't think he had a law degree and he wasn't a CPA. So it's like, what are you doing with people's taxes that you helping? And so this dude, he represents a lot. He stands for a lot in conspiracy theory world and in just the regular world. This is someone who has ties to billionaires, to royalty, who come to him for horrific acts. And now you're telling us, there's nothing else to see here. There's nothing else to see between, me and him especially. There's nothing. Don't look. Stop. 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 And so then Trump, for his part, is watching this whole thing go down, and he's watching people argue about it in front of him, people who are, in his administration and on his side, argue about the best way to handle it, going back and forth. Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, all names that sound like they're about to be called down on The Price is Right. Like... All three of them are constantly going at it because then, Bongino is upset with Pam because he thinks that Pam overpromised and underdelivered and everything. Why would you even say that this stuff was coming unless you had a plan? You were just talking in front of the camera. And then Pam is going back at him and Trump's watching this whole thing. And then in a press conference, they even asked him, they actually asked Pam Bondi a question about the tapes and the DOJ's memo and everything. And Pam Bondi was ready to answer. She was about to speak and Trump interrupted her. He's like, hey, look, are we still talking about this guy? Why? Like years, like why? Like everybody's talking about this dude. Like, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'm sick of this for you, Pam. You don't even feel like answering, do you? And Pam didn't catch. She wasn't quick enough. She was like, no, I don't mind answering. And I know Trump had to be sick when that happened. It's like, no, go ahead and answer then. And, Pam Bondi talked about how they had released a lot of stuff, because there's a difference between releasing evidence around a case or releasing vital information or declassifying things and then releasing stuff, right? So they released a bunch of stuff to look like they were releasing something. Like they released the videotape of the night that Epstein got up out of here. And the problem with the tape is that it's always been talked about as if there was a tape of his cell that would prove definitively that like nothing untoward happened, right? But the tape isn't of like Jeffrey Epstein's cell with him sitting there and everything. It's of like a hallway. And you're giving a tape to conspiracy theorists. They're gonna do some extra looking. There's like 10 hours of tape. But there is 61 seconds missing. I don't know how long it takes to kill somebody. But if there's 61 seconds missing, I'm assuming that it takes 50 seconds and gives you 11 seconds to get down the hall. And I'm not even saying that's what happened, by the way. I'm just saying 61 seconds, that's weird. And they asked Pam Bondi about it. And Pam Bondi is like, look, it's a very old system from the 90s where the tape resets at midnight. So it takes a second to like reset. And that's why 61 seconds are missing. And I had a lot of questions. I had a ton of questions. My first question didn't even concern Epstein. My first question was, why are you telling everybody that? Because, that is very valuable information if you're a prisoner in that. Because you know what they play in prison, the news. You probably sit there in Gen Pop like, wait, it what? Every day? I gotta go take care of something. So she says, look, this is the way that system works. So we're actually going to be supplying more video footage to show that there's a minute missing every night. And I was like, why would you say that? The people in prison can hear you. But also, that's a pretty bad system. It was supposed to be watching somebody and it takes a minute to blink. That's pretty wild. That it's just going to be missing every day, and you're telling us that like it's not an issue at all. Felt crazy to me. And then they release the video, and then people go digging, they go looking, and one of the things they find is that the video has been doctored. Somebody at some point read the video through Adobe Premiere and did something. And I'm not saying, look. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Adobe Premiere, all right? All I'm saying is I would have thought the government, with all their resources, you know what I mean? Like the government would have like a special program. That just feel pretty cheap to make an Adobe Cloud account that you run this Epstein tape through. Like nobody's gonna know, so then people are wondering about the missing minute. They're wondering about how this video has been tampered with. And then even people who watch the full 10 hours of the video, because you gotta remember, some of these people are dedicated. They're like, there's actually a guard that leaves one way and never comes back, which proves that there's two ways to enter that hallway. And I was like, oh man, he's so screwed. Trump, he's very good at creating a distraction, and he tries. He did his best. He said that he was gonna revoke Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship. On any other day in American history, that would be a headline. Any other day, that'd be wild. And look, Rosie O'Donnell and Donald Trump have what I think is now like a 20-year feud going on, which is absolutely insane. The President of the United States has the ultimate and deepest beef. His arch nemesis is the actress from Harriet the Spy. That is mind-boggling. The leader of the free world is ready to have it out at any given moment with the voice actress from the main gorilla in the Disney movie Tarzan. The man with his fingers on the button for the nukes has a deep hatred in his heart, decades long, for Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award winner Rosie O'Donnell. This is an unacceptable timeline. That is crazy. I don't even know what Rosie O'Donnell did that day. Like, I don't know what even brought it up. But he says, you know, I'm thinking about revoking Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship. If Ireland wants to keep her, they could have her. And any other day, this would be the story. He knows that. Who knows? Look, I'm of two minds about this thing because it is clearly a distraction, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But I'm of two minds about this thing because, one, obviously, there's a world where he's just like saying stuff to say stuff to like swiftly like move the news cycle in another direction, and he may not do anything. But the fact, as a sitting president, that he would even muster up the corner of his thumbs to put that into a phone to go out to the world is so deeply insane. Because this thing that he's doing now is not just a step too far, it's the entire field too far. Rosie O'Donnell is an American citizen, a citizen. And so if he can do that, then truly, 100% without a doubt now, nobody is safe. What started this whole like immigration, fear-mongering, you gotta remember, because you have to understand, as a platform, people have been running on it as long as there have been, you know, green cards and immigration programs. Oh, is it a little too much? Oh, we don't like what it's doing to the landscape of our neighborhood and everything. And people have won votes on it. That's nothing new. But what's turned is the way that people are openly nasty and disgusting about it. There's always been racism in it. It's mainly what it is, you know? Because if you really cared about people coming over the right way, the legal way, then you would make the right way and the legal way clear, and you wouldn't kidnap people at their green card interviews, and you wouldn't have like mass people picking people up after baseball practice, okay? If that's what you cared about. And you also, you know, You've structured this thing to make these people seem like monsters. That's been the plan this entire time, because if somebody is a monster, it is part of the human condition and a flaw that we have. As long as we see somebody as a monster, whether they are or not, we don't really care what happens to them. You know? It's why they can make conditions in prison so bad. Because the assumption is, well, everybody that's there deserves to be there, so screw them, right? If they don't have clean water, or if they can't shower, or if their food's contaminated, good. Because they did something bad to earn that place, right? And it helps you strip the basic humanity of looking at another person, whether they've made a mistake or not, or looking at another person, whether from a different country or not. And if you get really good at stripping that humanity away, you can do whatever you want. And then you start to be able to do whatever you want to anybody that you want. And that's what's been creeping up this entire time. What started as like, guys, they're eating the dogs. Remember, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Nobody's pets are safe. It was getting so dumb. It was past like, these are criminals and they're killing us and they're coming over here to do terrible things. And then it started to morph a little bit more. Okay, look, I know that they're going through the proper channels and everything, but they have a misdemeanor in another country. Do we really want somebody like that to become a citizen? Maybe we should deport them now. No, I understand that they have their green card, but they also, I don't know, they have this weird past I don't like, or they wrote an op-ed I didn't like, or they said a thing that I didn't like. So do we really want someone like that in our country? I know that they are a fully naturalized citizen, but the way that they became a citizen is a little bit under suspect, because I said so just now. So maybe we'll deport them. And now we're all the way to the point that American citizens that I do not like can be gone. And so you see, when you let somebody's humanity get stripped away over and over and over again, and it's in the back of your head, and you even go with the lie. They probably did something, or maybe they shouldn't have done that thing, or maybe they have a good reason. When you do that enough and it finally comes for you, don't be surprised. Because the thing with the Rosie O'Donnell, it's like there's a part of it that I think is nothing. I'm not saying that thing is absolutely going to happen. I'm just also saying that the fact that he even fixed his fingers to put it out is a problem. Oh? And normally, on any other day, it would have been such a problem that it's what everyone on the news would have been talking about. But this was a different day. This was a day where Dan Bongino is so upset he doesn't even report in to work. He's tired of arguing with Pam Bondi. He might resign. Other people are talking about resigning. This Epstein thing isn't going away. And so then Donald Trump did what he does best, what he does in a crisis, and what he does when it counts. He made it worse. Like a kid throwing a rock through his own window. He makes it so much worse. And now Trump is dealing with that fallout. There are people calling for Pam Bondi to resign. There are people that are asking Trump extra questions. And then Trump crashes out spectacularly while y'all were probably parking. And so I'm gonna do this real quick. I don't like to use my phone or bring my phone out often, but I have to read you what Trump posted. And admittedly, look, I'm going to read every word that he posted, all right? But I will be doing it the way that I read it in my head. This is insane. What's going on, my boys? Boys in quotations. Oh, no. What's going on with my boys? Boys in quotations. And in some cases, gals? Also in quotations. Are you asking us a question about what's going on with them, or are you confused about the gals specifically? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job, all caps. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect, all caps, administration, the talk of the world, all caps, and selfish people, in quotes, are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies. What? I'm not saying that Trump killed Epstein. I'm not saying that at all. I'm like specifically not saying that. I need you to understand that I am explicitly not saying that Trump killed Epstein. I'm just saying that if I was like driving in my car and I hit somebody and I somehow got away with it, but I saw them every time I closed my eyes, I'd be like, this guy never dies. All over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. This is a man who hasn't slept. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama? You know what's so good about files written by Obama is that Trump was sitting there knowing he know Epstein. Trump knows Epstein so well. They were friends. Trump lived so close to Epstein in Florida that Epstein had to knock on his door and let him know he was on the sex offender registry. Like, that's how close they lived together. He knocked on the door, was like, hi, the court has ordered me to notify you that I'm in the area. I have been convicted of a few crimes, and I left my suit jacket over here last night, so... That's crazy. By Obama, and it's a list. It's a list. It's, why are we giving publicity to files? You know what it also is? This man was sitting here knowing that he knows Epstein. He's sitting here knowing that this looks very bad. And he did the DOJ thing, even though it's not directly tied to him, even though the president isn't allowed to interfere. He clearly did the DOJ thing where he told them to shut it down. And now people are rebelling against him. And he's sitting there like, how can I make it DEI? Obama. Thanks, Obama. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, Crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration? So I guess they were all in a room in this scenario, and they wrote the files together in tandem. Like, Obama just knew that everyone in the Biden administration would be in the Biden administration one day, so he gathered them all together. But this is also before Epstein ever died or anything, so Obama time traveled to like right after to know it would hurt Trump, so then he came back in regular time and he sat down Hillary Clinton, Comey, Brennan, and the loser, he had to get all the losers and criminals of the Biden administration in one room so they could write. Also, wrote the files? Isn't it a bunch of documents? And the losers and criminals of the Biden administration, I do like that he said there are criminals in the Biden administration, but there are some people who aren't criminals. They're just losers. But I want to make sure I address them too. You're not safe. You're not safe just because you're not a criminal if you're a loser as well, all right? In fact, you're a loser because you're not a criminal, all right? I have 34 felony convictions, and I'm the president, okay? You out here not even a criminal. You can't even criminal good. Loser. And the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with Russia, Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, intelligence is in quotes, the laptop from hell. I don't know what that means. I don't know. I really don't know what that is. I don't know if that's like Hunter Biden's laptop or a laptop with Hillary's emails on it, or if he just had a bad experience with an HP laptop. But like... that is also in all caps. The laptop from hell and more, question mark. They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake, all caps, Hillary Clinton, Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me. And now my so-called friends, this man hurt because my so-called friends As a world leader, my so-called friends is the most Regina George Mean Girls line I've ever heard in my entire life. My so-called friends is wild. Foreign diplomats, world leaders had a dinner that Trump was at, and they made fun. This is his first term. They made fun of him at the dinner. He could probably hear him in the background. They were laughing. It was like Boris Johnson and Justin Trudeau and other people, and they were over here doing him. They were over here like just making fun of him hard, cracking up, talking about how he doesn't know how to spell, everything. They were getting him good. They were roasting him. And then this man comes back to the U.S. and I'm pretty sure it was Fox News that played the tape that somebody got of them making fun of him, not with a bunch of audio, and his head was down a little bit. You could tell his feelings were hurt, for real. And he was looking down and everything. And he just said, yeah, I didn't know that, like, they were, like fake like that or anything. Even in that moment, he didn't say, my so-called friends. My so-called friends is insane. And now my so-called friends are playing right into their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? And this is good. This is clever. He's doing what he does. This is the Republican talking point that's going to go around. Look for it over and over and over again. Well, why didn't Biden release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could hurt Trump, that could derail MAGA, why didn't he release it? All right, that's the most I know you are, but what am I logic I've ever heard in my life? Because you're the president now, so you could release them. I know that Biden didn't release them, but you could release them. You could. You could release them if you wanted. You could, like I dare you. No, I was just saying, like I dare you. I bet you won't. I bet you're too scared. I bet you won't. But you could. I know Biden did, but you're the president now, and I thought you were a better president, so you could. You could do anything that Biden didn't do. You said that. You were like, there's a bunch of things Biden can't do that I can do, that only I can do, and one of those things is release the Epstein files. Like, do it. I bet you won't do it, though, because you're scared. No, it's just funny, man. This man, he's going through it. Why didn't they use it? They haven't even given up on the John F. Kennedy or the MLK Jr. files, which is a terrible idea to bring up different conspiracy-laden things while you talk about there not being a conspiracy. That's crazy. That's a terrible move. This man is derailing. No matter how much success we have had securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons, it's never enough for some people. This man is spiraling. It's never enough for some people is not what a president says. It's never enough for some people is not how you speak as a president. That's how you speak as a dad who just finished a 16-hour shift and somebody tells you to take out the trash. It's never enough for you people. Every day, I've been awake for 24 hours. It's my birthday. Yeah, thanks for the time. It's never enough for some people. We are about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in over 100 years. And that's true. That's true. We're all going to die. And we have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again, all caps, which will continue to be our complete priority, all caps. The left is imploding. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. Let Pam Bondi do her job, all caps. She's great, all caps. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That's what she's looking into as AG, and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead, all caps. Now it's the hottest, all caps, country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention to this matter. There's a thing I read about a long time ago. There was this leader named Father Yod, and Father Yod was the head of the Source family. The Source family was this collection of people. Some people called them a cult and everything, but they mostly kept to themselves. Like, they ran like a vegan restaurant, I think, and they just minded their own business. But one of the most interesting things about Father Yod was Father Yod told them early on, before it was ever even really a cult, before there were even a lot of members, I'm God, and don't go to a hospital. That was his thing. And that happens in a lot of cults, by the way. Don't go to the hospital because hospitals are full of experts who can provide answers that I can't. So if I can cut you off from other experts, if I can cut you off from people reasoning in a way that is just direct with logic, I've already started to bring you into the fold in a way that you'll never leave. And so Father Yod would tell them, don't go to a hospital, right? And so they didn't. Members of the Source family would not go to a hospital. And they did what I would say was generally well for a cult as far as length. A lot of cults fall apart in those first few years. You know what I mean? First year, everything sort of starts out good. Everybody's just having a good time, making friends, living in a commune and everything. And then year two, somebody try to get you to drink something or do something else. Just people start coming for your mouth, you know what I mean? And all sorts of ways that get uncomfortable, and that's usually when the cult falls apart, because there are people that are like, ooh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to drink that. Ooh, that's weird. No, I'm going to go, right? And then that's when leaders sort of crumble and start having power grabs, and they get paranoid and everything. This didn't really happen, at least from what I read, to the Source family, Father Yod, and they stayed together long enough that there were members of the community that started coupling and even having children. And it got to the point where they were about to have the first baby born into the Source family, but they can't go to a hospital. They can't go to a hospital, and something feels wrong. And no one can really describe what it is, but basically this member starts going into labor in real time. So everybody is looking over to Father Yod. You know, you said you were God. You told us not to go to the hospital. I think you're going to have to deliver this baby. And so this man does it. He delivered the baby, but when the baby came out, it wasn't making any noise. And it wasn't moving at all. And people started crying. Everyone was devastated. There was so much joy around having a new person in the family. And Father Yod, he did something. I don't know what he did, but the members described it as him just clearing the airway gently a little bit, and out of nowhere, after all that silence, after no movement, the baby cried and it started moving. And if he thought he had followers then, if he thought that they were believers then, we don't need a hospital. And it got to the point where one day Father Yod was like, you know what? I'm done with this whole earthly thing. I'm tired of healing y'all and everything. Everybody coming up to me all the time. I got a cold. Because that's what he would do. People would have a cold, and then he'd be like, blah, 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 and then they would still have a cold, and they just get over it in 2 weeks because it was a cold, right? But then when they finally got over the cold, he'd walk by and be like, did it? And it's like, all right, well. And so, this one day, Father Yod said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a vacation. Get away from y'all for a little bit. I'll come back, but I'm going to take a vacation. I'm going to take it in heaven. And so he got on a 1,300-foot cliff with a glider. Because I guess he thought he was going to glide up enough to just like get to heaven's front door or something. Like this man is truly like lost to the sauce, right? He been leading the cult too long. He believe him now. I wish I had half the confidence. Because that's so crazy to think you're just going to fly up to heaven and stay up there, but you also need a glider. Do you know what I mean? Like, at least people on ecstasy think they go just fly immediately, you know? This dude gets on the glider, takes off, and never did this before in his life. Wasn't trained or anything. And so he jumps off the cliff in the glider, and he goes perfectly down. He goes straight down. This man, bow, right? And so the followers like, oh, he went the wrong way. And then they come down the cliff and everything, and they come to get him. He laid out. I can't even do it. He laid out. He laid out like, but not like busted up. He's not dead. He's laid out like this. And didn't have any, to what I read at least, he didn't have any significant, any substantial like bruising or markups on his body. Another miracle, you would think. Turns out everything stayed intact, but his guts were all upside down. Like this man stayed perfectly in his body, but his lungs were in his feet. Like and so they run up on him, and he over here laid out like, I can't even do it right. Like he laid out like, when they find him, glider crash, he laid out like this. And they run up there like, Father, Father. And he's like, get me to a hospital. Get me to a hospital now. And the followers are like, what? And he's like, yeah, the one on 32 Roscoe, please. Hurry up and get me to a hospital. And there's different accounts of this. I'm sure that there's followers that say he never asked for a hospital. I'm sure there's followers that say he asked for a hospital immediately. But this dude is like, get me to a hospital. And then the followers are like, what? Why though? Like, you said never go to a hospital. You said that that's not real science in there. You said that you get sicker if you go to a hospital. We can't take you to a hospital. And he said, get me to a hospital. I'm serious. Oh, I feel something upside down. You know what it probably sounded like? I mean, I'm not there. We don't have the footage or anything. But I imagine if you fall 1,300 feet down, you probably sound like that grape lady. Remember that grape lady that was crushing the grapes, and then she fell, and then she went, arr, 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 arr. Off camera, we didn't see her. Because I'm sure when he said, get me to a hospital, they really didn't understand what he was saying at first, because he was like, get me to a, I think my spine behind my balls, get me to a hospital. But then my man looked intact. So they're like, no, he doesn't need a hospital, he just needs rest. And then he died 9 hours later. And so when I see the way that like MAGA is turning on Trump, it just feels so much like, why would you? Wait. Why would he lie? He really doesn't understand. Trump truly doesn't understand why this thing won't go away. And it's because he doesn't understand people. You know? Whether it's, the MAGA base, whether it's Q, whether whether it's anybody online, anybody interested or concerned about anything to do with Epstein, all those people are people. So if you lead people on and you lie to people, they have a reaction. You can't just get something and give nothing in return. And people won't let it go, and they won't give up on it, because this man is real. He really existed. And he really destroyed a lot of lives. And for all of our faults as humans, we care about that. And so no, we're not just going to let it go. It's not like some passing fad of a thing. I think it is to him, because he just uses what he needs while he needs it to get what he wants. And once he has it, he throws it or the person who gave it to him away. And it's something that some people are finding out right now, that he'll betray you on a dime. Nothing matters to him. Because if this thing doesn't matter to him, then nothing matters to him at all. There's no way around it. People care because vulnerable people were victimized for a very long time. And whatever part you had to do with that, it can't be covered up, because there's nothing that screams, I'm in the Epstein files, like, stop looking for the Epstein files. One thing that I thought was incredible, one thing that put a smile on my face, was when Rosie O'Donnell responded to Donald Trump talking about revoking her citizenship. And I know I don't like to pull out my phone, but I want to read you what she said. You can actually look. You can actually. This is on her Instagram, so you can actually look this up for yourself. I'm not kidding. This is crazy. So first thing she does is post a picture of Trump and Epstein together, which is genuinely hilarious. And is Rosie O'Donnell posted in the caption, "Hey Donald, you rattled again? 18 years later, I still live rent-free in that collapsing brain of yours." I'm gonna be honest with you right now. I watch the news all the time. I watch people try to defend Trump. I watch people attack Trump, and I'm chronically online. So I watch people insult Trump all day long, and I have never come across collapsing brains. Collapsing brain would actually explain everything. It would explain the made-up words. It would explain the spelling. You call me a threat to humanity, but I'm everything you fear: a loud woman, a queer woman, a mother who tells the truth, an American who got out of the country before you set it ablaze. You built walls, I built a life for my autistic kid in a country where decency still exists. You crave loyalty, I teach my children to question power. You sell fear on golf courses, I make art about surviving trauma. You lie, you steal, you degrade, I nurture, I create, I persist. You are everything that is wrong with America, and I am everything you hate about what's still right with it. You want to revoke my citizenship, go ahead and try King Joffrey with a tangerine spray tan. I'm not yours to silence, I never was, and then it's the Irish flag signed Rosie. And if I'm being honest, I just never expected, I never expected the president of the United States to be so effectively eviscerated by one of the supporting actresses from A League of Their Own. It just feels wild that this is life. Philly, y'all been phenomenal. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. I hope you had a fantastic time. I had so much fun with you. Thank you for an incredible weekend at the Fillmore. Thank you for 8 sold-out shows. I appreciate you so much. I know I've never been balling out of control or anything, because in my adult life, I've never lived somewhere that didn't have a mouse for a period of time, right? And a mouse will humble you because a mouse, you'll be thinking you got it all together. You got it all figured out, everything. You know, you'll even be looking at your bank account and be like, wow, I'm killing it. I'm doing very well. And then in the distance past the laptop, you'll see a mouse scurry in the corner. You'll be like, I could do better. That's fair, right? But this is what bothers me, is that anytime you have a pest in the home, people act like it must be you. Like it has to be your fault, exactly. Expressly your fault, right? But it's like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm picking up after myself. I'm grabbing the clothes off the floor. I'm not leaving any food out. I'm vacuuming. I'm sweeping. There should not be a mouse in my... I'm not trying to have like a Disney Pixar experience, right? Like it's just... This happened, you know? And then, like, let's say, goodness forbid, but let's say you actually had a mouse problem, and then you went to work, and you told somebody, yeah, I got a mouse in my apartment trying to get it taken care of. Your coworker would be like, oh. You sure you should be here? Like, yeah, I mean, like you inviting them over or something. It's very frustrating, you know? Because, like, goodness forbid, once again, but let's say a different pest came in your home. Let's say a burglar broke in, right? And the next day you go to work and you tell someone, it's like, my home was burglarized last night. They would be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's horrible. That's such a terrible thing. You must have been terrified. Are you okay? Is everything all right? They would show compassion. They'd have empathy. They wouldn't be like, ugh. I guess that's just how you were raised, huh? Like, do you see the difference? It's very frustrating because, like, I'll give you an example. When I lived in Chicago, right, I had a mouse in my apartment. I had lived there 2 years, no mouse, and I finally had a mouse in my apartment. Now, I lived in an apartment complex that was near some other ones, and a bit south of our apartment complex was a building that had been condemned for humans, but it was a mouse mansion, right? Like that's where they were. That was the spot, right? And everybody knew it. And eventually the city tore down the building and they took down this ratatouille tenement. And obviously the mice were like, where should we go? Probably next door, right? And so for the first time ever, right, I had a mouse in my apartment. But the way that I found out was horrible because I had a friend over. Oh. And so my friend and I are chilling, and then this mouse, he doesn't scurry along the wall and then turn the corner like they're supposed to, right? This mouse walks out in front of us, coming from what I can only assume was a nap. Because this mouse had the nerve to walk out and stretch on the rug, getting a deep stretch too, really bouncing with it as he moved. You know, like when your puppy wake up, you know what I'm talking about? And they put that other foot in the air, they really getting that whole back leg going. And the worst part about this happening in this moment is that when you tell your friend that, wow, I've lived here 2 years and I've never had a mouse, this is the first mouse I've ever seen, you sound like a liar, right? Because if this is the first mouse you've ever seen in this apartment, why does he seem so comfortable around you? Why is he stretching the back leg like he pays bills once in a while? Why is he getting so easy going, letting that back pop like he pays rent every once in a while? And so I was like, you know, clearly I got to take care of it. So I called the landlord who calls the exterminator. And one of the frustrating things, I'm actually glad it went down this way, because usually when you call an exterminator, that's when the pests in your home want to act right. As soon as you call the exterminator, that's when they're like, oh, you got company. I wouldn't dream. Oh, So landlord calls an exterminator. Exterminator comes the next day, right? I open the door for the exterminator. He takes about 2 steps in, and that's when the mouse that I saw yesterday runs past his foot, scurries along the wall, and then just turns the corner, right? But then my exterminator goes, ooh! And for the rest of the time he is in my home, he refuses to put his full foot on the floor. So he's just consistently walking around like, so how many you been seeing? Cause you know they say, oof, oof. He was poking his head indoors where he would go in the room and stuff. And he was like, you know, they say that if you see one, if you see one, there's 3 of them. I'm like, they is you. We can't both be scared, dog. Like, oh, it's devastating. You know what I mean? Cause I'm not immune. You know, I've done the same thing. You know, sometimes, someone tell me they have a pest or something, but we gotta be more understanding. It's like nobody wants this in their home. But I had a friend one time back once again while I was living in Chicago, and he told me while we were out having lunch that he was having a bed bug problem. And when he said it, I was like, ooh. So how many you been seeing? And he was like, don't do that. You're not itching. I'm like, we don't know. We don't know. No, it's important to humble yourself. Understand that you could be in any situation. You really could. I don't care who you are in here. I don't care where you live, where you come from. Every single person, every one of you listening to me right now, all of us are 2 flies in the home away from seeming nasty. That's all it takes. 1 fly could happen to anybody, all right? 1 fly means you just opened a window. 2 flies. What do they see? What do they smell? I mean, 2 flies means 1 fly went and got another fly. I was like, do I have a place for us? I was reading this story. You know how during Halloween, there's always this weird thing where they're like, don't just let anybody give your kid candy. There's people out here putting razor blades in apples, right? There's people out here putting drugs in the candy. Just really watch your child's candy, right? And you know how for the entirety of Halloween in America, that's been like a myth? Like that's just not a thing that's happening, Plus, if somebody give you an apple at Halloween, I'm never going to find out a razor blade is in it. This apple is going straight back to them through their window. If they get cut in the process, that's on them, And as far as, drugs in the candy, I mean, I don't know. Come on now. Even if that was happening, a child on drugs like acid is just the way a kid acts anyway. Yeah, I mean, little cousins I've had that have walked up and told me a story that I've only heard again from a college friend who was deeply on acid. Like, that's... Adults on acid and children just operate at the same frequency. You know what I mean? Telling you stories about animals that don't exist and stuff. It's like, all right. Extra hyper, yep, check. Most people who babysit like a 5 or 6-year-old are dealing with the same sort of struggles as a drug crisis center. You know, you over here running around, I can't find you half the time. You have a little bit of sugar, you can't stop shaking, you won't go to sleep. If anything, drugs might slow a child down. But I bring it up because in New Zealand, there were about 60 pieces of candy that were donated to this food bank. So it did go out via the food bank, and the pieces of candy were meth, right? And they were just like meth, and they were like pure meth. Like it was like the methy Jolly Ranchers meth. Like I can't express enough how much this was just meth, right? And they said that, they've been doing everything they can to recover all the pieces. They put out a warning and everything. And the company, they contacted the company that it was wrapped in as a hard candy of and stuff. But most of the people that tried this meth hard candy spit it out immediately because they were like, it's just nasty. It's just real bitter. It doesn't have the oomph to it, right? Like, if anything, it's too pure. There's not enough sugar in which is for the best. That's good, because apparently this little hard candy of meth had 300 doses of meth in it, which is terrifying, right? I'm glad that it was very nasty. People spit it out immediately and stuff. And what's crazy is that, okay, this is a part of the story that I wasn't fully sure if I was reading it right when I read it, but basically some people who had some sort of like adverse effects, like feeling a little nauseous or a little like jittery, because it's meth candy, so they were feeling a little jittery after they had a taste, even though they spit it out, 300 doses and a little hard candy, right? But they called the food bank and told them like, hey, some of that candy making me feel weird, right? So then some of the staff at the food bank also tried the candy. Which feels like a weird way to test for drugs. You know what I mean? It was like, I don't know. These hard candies might be, they might be like condensed mushrooms. It's like, well, only one way to find out. And then the staff also spit out the candy immediately because it just, I can't imagine meth is delicious. And they said that they exhibited some adverse effects, feeling a little, little stomach ache, little jittery, little disoriented and stuff. And so they're trying to get to the bottom of it. But I don't know. It low-key feels like the candy company was just kind of trying it out. You know what I mean? Like just to be like, we got to do something, all right? We're falling behind Starburst. We're falling behind Nerds. We can't keep up. We got to mix it up a little bit. Whether I'm like reading reviews of things or just like falling down different rabbit holes online, it is apparent that we have a deep problem, everybody, with like oversharing online. I know so much about people that I'll never meet. That feels crazy. You know what I mean? And it's to our detriment, Like that's us. Like we're going to have to explain to our grandkids what Twitter was. When we're like grandparents, we're going to have to sit our kids down and be like, yeah, when I was coming up, there were people who would just tell everybody what they thought without anyone asking and ruin their own life. You know what I mean? They would just wake up and be like, I don't need a job today. And then they would just admit things that they could have kept in their head. You know? Because you watch a lot of it happen, especially like when somebody, because it could happen to anybody. When anybody's like just going through the internet backlash of a day. Maybe you said something, maybe you did something, maybe you were caught on camera somewhere or something like that. And then even when a person tries to defend themselves, it's too far gone. And then even if you do a good job of defending yourself, and even if the thing isn't what people thought it was, that never rises to the level of the initial thing, right? And so, it just feels like a lot of unforced errors in life when people do this stuff. And they're still doing it. Sometimes I still see people post a thing and I'm like, you could have told no one. That's wild. Why would you do? Everyone's mad now. No, I just wish we could bring back diaries. Remember diaries? Remember journals? Remember when you were like a kid and you would just write in that? And it would be your deepest, darkest, most personal secrets. All of your like internal thoughts, your whole internal monologue would be put on paper somewhere. And then you put under the bed. And it was a violation. It was the deepest violation if your parents read your diary or read your journal or something like that. Because those ideas, those thoughts were truly private. Like you had to work them out of yourself and you had to put them somewhere. But they were for safekeeping for just you, right? And so they'd be under the bed, wherever, and then finally, years after you write that stuff, right? You're maybe about to go to college, or you're just moving out the house or something. You flipping the mattress for the first time in 4 years, and you see, no, my journal. Oh my gosh! And then you look through some of the pages, you read a little bit of it, and you go, oof. Who is this? Oh no. Oh, I'm glad that's nowhere else. Because now I can burn it. And no one will ever know. I remember I found one of my journals from when I was a kid and I was like, oof. This is pretty horny and racist. Man, I don't know what I was on. This is wild. I gotta throw this through the shredder now. No. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because I'm trying to just navigate things. Like I do my best to be a good person. I'm sure everybody is to a certain degree, even if it doesn't feel like it, But like, I don't know, man. I'm like liberal, but my friends are like liberal. Like I'm liberal as in like we believe all the same stuff. Like if you go down the list, I'm like, yeah, that. Yeah, me too. I do as well, right? So we believe the same stuff, but when they say it, they just, they say it all slow and touching their chest and stuff. It's like, do you know what I'm talking about? It's like, you'll be like, no, I believe that a woman should have autonomy over her body, right? And then they'll be like, I believe that a woman should have autonomy over her own body. I'm like, yeah, you said it slower. Like I don't know. Yeah, sometimes I don't know what some of that is. Sometimes I don't know if that's just like them trying to impress somebody. Because the person I'm talking about is a dude. Like, I'm like, there's no way you feel it this hard, bro. Like, that's suspicious as hell. It really is. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's weird when something is like, and don't take what I'm about to say the wrong way. Just listen, hear me out. It's wild when something that you want to fight for and help someone fight for, right? But it's not your direct, like in the moment, your direct body or problem, and you're madder than them. That's suspicious. Do you know what I mean? It's like when you meet a white person, they're like, you know what really gets me? Segregation. Based off of how you said that, there's no way that's true. There's no way. I don't believe you for a second, right? Because I get into weird arguments with my like liberal friends because we literally believe the same things, but then they take it a step further than feels logical to me, right? But we would still like vote the same way and do the same. We would still be at the same rally, but they just stomping harder like that's gonna do something. I'm like. Like I had an argument with one of my friends, where, you know, he was talking. I don't like when sometimes academics will pull a thing that works in theory and it works in like academia, but it doesn't work in practical life, right? So I was having this argument with my friend where, you know, he was basically saying that black people can't be racist because racism is prejudice plus power, right? And I was like, don't do that. Because a part of me gets what he was trying to say. A part of him was saying, like, look, anybody can be prejudiced, and prejudice is hate and stuff like that, but black people systematically have not had the power to exert their hate over other people, right? And so until then, you know, black people can't be racist, right? And I was like, but part of what you're saying is true, but when you say it out of your mouth, you make the whole thing sound wrong. You know? And so now I'm arguing with my friend, and it's even weirder because he's white. He's white, and he's a man. He's the man from the abortion example. Like this is the same person. He's a white dude that gets real mad about abortion and thinks that I can't be raped. So then I get in an argument with my friend. We're at a Denny's, by the way. I get in an argument with my friend that black people we can be racist. Don't. Now I'm yelling in a Denny's at my white friend about how racist I am. But the point I was trying to make was like, look, I see what you're saying, and historically, I get that if you're making this example for like a different time, right? But when you say power, do you mean power of the individual or power of the group, right? Because individually, there are very powerful black people that could exert their power over other people, right? But if you're talking about power of the group, then yeah, maybe we'll never get there. I'm just saying, like, power of the group, I don't see an all-black Senate happening anytime soon. You know? But still, I was like, you realize, we both acknowledge that, like, prejudice is bad and hate is bad. And so that is the thing that people mean when they say racism. You're getting into this, like, weird argument around the word that's distracting from the thing that actually bothers people. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? So then I'm now having to give examples of me being racist to prove my point. We're still in the Denny's. They won't bring the check because I think they're worried about me, right? So then they won't, because I'm being too loud. And so then I'm like, no, I can be and have been racist, and I have to take account of when it happens. I take accountability for like both my thoughts and my actions, what I say to people, because we're all people. We're all trying to find a base level of like understanding and and kindness towards each other. So then I have to take accountability for when I do make someone feel bad, right? And whether that thing is whatever, justified in the moment because of how they were reacting to me or completely unjustified based off a preconceived notion. I have to take stock of this. I have to take responsibility for myself. It doesn't matter that there are other disenfranchised people out there. I can't scapegoat them to act however I want to act, right? So then I was giving an example of me being racist. Okay. I'm not saying this is right. It's just how I am. And I'm trying to change. Remember that. But I look at my white friend, okay. I feel, when I see my white friends struggle in the sun, I don't really care. Like, that is racist though, because it's an entire group where I'm like, then do better. Like, it's like, that's not right. That's not right. You know what I mean? But I look at white people struggling in the sun the way I imagine, not calling anybody out, but it's the way I imagine they look at black people when we like can't get along, right? It's like, it's not really my problem, is it? Do better, I guess. You know? No, it's tough because it's like, I don't know, I'm liberal, but I'm not like liberal. Like, still working some stuff out, you know.